Welcome to the 10th annual ProGlobe Virtual Conference. And for 2024, we have students that are going to be presenting their research on sustainability and inclusivity. And as you may know, ProGlobe is an interdisciplinary and cross-cultural virtual exchange, and it's a project between 5 higher institutions around the world. In the project, students in Canada, USA, Portugal, China, and Germany collaborate to understand global issues from different cultural perspectives. During today's virtual conference, our students will be presenting their findings on the impacts of and actions towards sustainability and inclusivity in their country and around the world. Specifically, though, focused on their discipline in some cases. Also, we will be joined by our keynote speaker and our welcome address guests. Our keynote speaker is going to provide further global insights on environmental social governance. To provide our welcome address, I would like to share a pre-recorded message from Dean Professor Dr. Holger Haldenwank of the Business School in Shenzhen Technology University in Shenzhen, China.
Good morning and or good afternoon and or good evening, my dear guests, and especially to you, my dear students. As the Dean of SATU Business School, I am really pleased to welcome many guests to this ProGlobe 10th Virtual Student Conference today. First of all, I would like to thank the project coordinators in alphabetical order of the family names: Regina Proudlach, Paula Fonseca, Wendy Yulm, Christy Julian, Lourdes Martins, and Li Hao Chang from the SATU Business School. Also, at the same time, I have to apologize to you all for not being able to be here in person. Ladies and gentlemen, as climate change continues, natural disasters and abnormal weather patterns will increasingly have effects on our socio-economics, demographics, crop production, food security, migration, and political landscape in unprecedented ways. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, 1.8 billion people are exposed to absolute water scarcity, and more than 5.2 billion are expected to face water stress the next 5 years. 2024 was ranked as the warmest year since 1884, according to several studies published recently. The need for innovation in food production is increasing, fueled by climate change and natural calamities. Not only green buildings, as seen in the first decade of the 21st century, but entirely green cities will become the norm and will reshape the construction industry. They are not only sustainable, but resilient. Zero energy, home building, and rooftop farming are just a few of the advances. In addition to sustainability, cities will be smart, increasingly using sensors and wireless networks. And not to forget to produce energy with lowest CO2 emissions. As the world's population continues to grow, there is increased demand for and pressure to conserve natural resources that have huge implications for poverty, inequality, demographics, and public health. Water is jointly responsible for about 19% of all disasters the United Nations assumes. Nevertheless, water scarcity will become a severe problem in the future, as only 60% of the water needed will be available by 2050. The liberalization of economic policies over the past several decades has contributed to a relaxing of trade barriers and free movement of labor and capital across boundaries, leading to a more rapid diffusion of ideas and cultures across political and geographic borders. As supply chains become increasingly internationally, companies have started to locate different stages of the production process in different locations over the globe. This shift has introduced new risks into ensuring quality and standardization in the production process. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of virtual conference, students from 5 different countries have given thought to the topics I have just mentioned and are presenting their findings to participate in the form of posters and inviting discussion. To exchange ideas on sustainable goals, practices, and cultural diversity, and to encourage communication among different countries to raise awareness on the impact of environmental and social issues is always a procedure worth pursuing. My dear students, thank you very much for your interest and your engagement. A university should always be a forum for the cross-border exchange of academic ideas. I am therefore extremely pleased and happy about this project. Enjoy exploring their work and join the conversation on how we can address global issues together. Last but not least, I would also like to thank the organizers of today's event and wish the event every success. Thank you very much. Sisje and guten Tag. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you to Dean and Professor Dr. Holger Haldenwank. I would like to now welcome our keynote speaker, Sinkai Duan. Sinkai is Managing Director at EcoPivot, an ESG and climate change consultancy based in Hong Kong. She holds dual master's degrees, and her expertise spans China's climate change and energy transition strategies, ESG disclosure regulations, sustainable investments, high-tech industrial policy, and digital governance with smart cities. Prior to her current role, Sinkai has served in various positions such as project director, researcher, and urban planner, all demonstrating her commitment to advancing public awareness on sustainable finance, climate investment, and ESG topics. Please welcome Sinkai Duan.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm sorry. My computer is running a little slow, so I have some trouble turning pages. So could you please allow me to turn off the video, turn off the camera? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Please feel welcome to.
My computer is really slow. Okay. So, hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm honored to be invited by Professor Chen Hao and have the opportunity to share some of our research findings in the ESG field. Yeah, I work at Hong Kong-based ESG consulting and investment company. And today I will share some interesting insights on the opportunities and challenges of ESG development in China. So, yeah, let's start. Yeah, Professor Chen Hao, could you please help me turn to the next page? Yeah, so the first question is about what is ESG? So maybe some of you have already know ESG or environmental, social, and governance. is an evaluation framework that focuses on companies' environmental, social, and governance performance rather than its financial metrics. So it is a matter of a company's sustainability. So we can identify four main stakeholders or say key players in the ESG field. That is, that are governments or international organizations in the ESG regulatory domain, ESG rating agencies, ESG investors, and ESG practitioners or enterprises in this industry. So today, I would like to discuss why Chinese enterprises and regulatory bodies have been actively advancing ESG development in recent years. So yeah, next page, please. So our second question is about the drivers of ESG development in China. As you can see, yeah, I would like to use an financial investment valuation model to describe China's current key strategy. That is the CAPM model. So in the CAPM model, alpha is a key indicator of investment performance, often representing the excess return of a portfolio. So in the context of China's industrial development strategy, we believe that the current key strategy for China manufacturing is to move forward global alpha. So China's economic growth is often described as being driven by the three engines, that is exports, consumption, and investment. So following the pandemic, consumption and investment have slowed, while exports remain robust. So China's overseas operations generally achieve higher gross profit margins compared to domestic operations. According to the UBS report, the revenue contribution from overseas markets for Chinese manufacturing companies, such as those in machinery, power grid equipment, and auto parts manufacturing, has been growing steadily year by year. Moreover, the structure of China's exports have been improving with a great share of services and capital-intensive products. Next page, please. So we can see the China's share in global exports of capital goods and intermediate products has been steadily increasing. We can see from this graphic. Over the past decades, supported by the BRI, that is the Belt and Road Initiative, China's export destination have expanded beyond the US and Europe to include more developing countries. For example, the ASEAN has now becoming China's largest trading partners. So also overall export growth has slowly, exports of automobiles, batteries, and machinery continue to grow strongly. So we can see this funding from the AIIB, the proportion of China's global value chain and exports in its total exports rose from 38% in 2010 in 2000 and grows to 45% in 2019, indicating China's accent within global value chains. Next page, please. So China is gaining global market share in the automotive and electric equipment sectors. We can see the great equipment and EV bars makers are likely to see the fastest overseas revenue expansion. Next page. I'm sorry, my computer is really slow. So for this page, according to a UBS research report, we can see the ideal location for Chinese companies to expand production capacity overseas include Asian countries, Mexico in Latin America, and Germany and Hungary in Europe. So these destinations are evaluated based on factors such as economic condition, population, productivity, ease of doing business, and global integration, making them attractive for Chinese manufacturing. So from an industry perspective, the sectors most motivated to expand overseas capacity include auto parts, construction, machinery, tool wheels, and solar components. So the drivers of this expansion include lower production costs, trade restrictions, potential markets, and brand recognition. So China's global market share in the automotive and electric equipment sectors is increasing. Manufacturers of power grid equipment and new energy buses are new energy cars are likely to experience the fastest growth in overseas revenue. Next page, please. So, so today we come to the third question: what is the necessity of ESG development for China? I think the first reason is as ESG standards gain prominence in Europe and the United States, ESG compliance has become a mandatory requirement for Chinese companies expanding overseas. In addition to accounting for hard constraints such as foreign laws and taxation, companies must pay close attention to the increasingly stringent ESG regulatory standards abroad. The ability to adapt to and meet these ESG requirements has become a critical factor for achieving long-term success in international markets. And the second reason is ESG is increasingly become a company's second business card. So we know strong ESG performance offers significant advantages. On the financing side, it can help lower financing costs, ease funding constraints, and create opportunities to access green finance, broadening funding channels. So on the supply chain management side, robust ESG practices help mitigate concentrated risks within the supply chain, enhance bargaining power with suppliers, and optimize cost control. So by diversifying supply chain layouts, companies can more effectively spread and the third reason is mainly about ESG is becoming a tool for trade barriers in Western countries, and for the Chinese companies, we have to face these challenges. So the initial intent of ESG development in Europe and the United States was to reduce environmental degradation, enhance social responsibility, and strengthen corporate governance through rigorous disclosure and regulatory standards. These standards apply uniformly to all enterprises operating within their jurisdictions, whether domestic or foreign. For instance, the EU's Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, that is SFDR, mandate comprehensive compliance. However, some countries have begun exploiting ESG policy loopholes and their ultimate interpretive authority as a means of trade protectionism. So by setting higher ESG standards, they create relatively closed market environments to shield domestic industries from foreign competition. So I think the last reason is as business expand internationally, they inevitably face a complex web of ESG regulatory policies and stringent international standards. This shift signals that future overseas ventures must prioritize not only financial performance, but also excellence in environmental protection, social responsibility, and corporate governance. So for companies, this dual focus presents both opportunities and challenges. So it necessitates a revaluation of operational models, embedding ESG principles into strategic planning, daily management, and corporate culture. So we can see such integration not only enhance a company's reputation for social responsibility, but also evaluates its goodwill as an intangible asset. So this entails capital markets and facilitates the integration of global-oriented enterprises into the global value chain. So let's talk about what ESG challenges do Chinese companies face in overseas markets. So for this page, I have 3 cases. For the time limits, maybe we can talk about the Huawei and Alibaba's case. So first of all, maybe you're very familiar with Huawei. In terms of ESG, the US has accused Huawei of posing a national security threat by labeling its equipment as being used for improper activities. So for overseas expansion, ESG-related corporate governance issues are often manipulated by foreign rating agencies and legal bodies to protect local industries in the US and Europe. Compared to the section Huawei faces regarding governance and security concerns, its challenges in environmental and social aspects are relatively fewer and more aligned with the general regulations foreign companies must comply with. So for instance, the US EPA, the US Environmental Protection Agency, mandates strict electronic waste processing standards for all imported electronic devices. So domestic smartphone manufacturers have faced challenges in meeting such standards, particularly regarding the recycling and the disposal of old devices. So additionally, the US DOL, that is US Department of Labor, emphasizes labor rights and working conditions, requiring companies to provide detailed data on employee composition and wage disparities to ensure compliance with US labor laws and diversity requirements. So that is Huawei's case. Maybe next we can talk about Alibaba's risk and responsibility and responses in the EU market. So when promoting its cloud, Alibaba faced stringent regulation from the EU regarding data center energy efficiency. The European Commission mandates that the data centers must use renewable energy and reduce carbon emissions. To meet these environmental standards, Alibaba must invest in green energy and improve energy efficiency across its operations. So on the social front, Germany's Federal Labor Agency required Alibaba to provide detailed reports on employee benefits and working conditions to ensure compliance with Germany's labor laws and social responsibility requirements. So as a result, Alibaba had to adjust its human resources policies to meet the strict overseas standards. So another situation is from a governance perspective, that is France's Financial Market Authority, France AMF, demanded that Alibaba provided comprehensive information on its corporate governance structure and financial disclosure. So Alibaba was required to ensure that its governance structure is transparent and to submit regular financial reports to meet France's regulatory standards. So we can see cross-border e-commerce as a key investment direction for 2024 has attracted significant attention. However, the process of international expansion requires strict oversight, particularly in navigating the protection tendencies of local ESG policies under the guidance of environmental and social concerns. So the fifth topic I would like to share today is the challenges China faces in ESG, particularly regarding the alignment of ESG disclosure standards with international practices. So due to time constraints for today's presentation, I may briefly go through this section of PPTs and focus mainly on a few key conclusions. So first, I will discuss the three major international ESG disclosure standards. So ESG information serves as a critical foundation for assessing a company's ESG risk profile and is essential for building ESG investment rating systems. Only with comprehensive, timely, and accurate disclosures can the credibility and effectiveness of the established ESG rating system be ensured. For Chinese companies, aligning ESG disclosures with international standards remain a challenge as discrepancies in reporting practices, transparencies, and the level of detail required by international investors or regulatory persist. So this alignment is vital for enhancing global competitiveness and facilitating access to international ESG investment flows. So, the next page, please. I'm sorry. Can we back to? Yeah, we may pass some slides of the PPTs. That's okay. So yeah, we can find a lot of differences from China's ESG standards and the international mainstream ESG frameworks. So for the major gaps in ESG ratings and ESG information disclosure between China and international mainstream, so we can find three main reasons. First of all is about the low disclosure rate of ESG information disclosure in China compared to the international. So as we can see, for the A-share listed companies have been publishing corporate social responsibility, that is CSR reports since 2006. And the disclosure rate of CSR reports has improved significantly in recent years. However, the disclosure rate was still less than 30% in 2019. So after 2013, the CSR disclosure rate of A-share entered a plateau period, mainly since China has not further issued more precise guidance on CSR report disclosure. But internationally, companies have a much longer history of disclosing ESG information, and the forms of public disclosure are more diverse, including ESG reports, sustainability reports, and corporate impact reports and CSR reports. So we can see this difference between China's practice and the international mainstream framework. And the second reason for the gap between domestic and international ESG information disclosure is about the late start of Chinese policies. Few mandatory policies, low returns on corporate disclosure, and lack of regulatory policies. So the first is overall progress of domestic policy advancement is lagging, while relevant policies in Europe and the US becoming more and more perfect. The basic ESG framework was only formed in 2018 in mainland China, with requirements for disclosures on all ESG topics. So after the policy acceleration period, ESG reporting guidance have been implemented at the exchange level from the top down in the UK and the US. And at the same time, there are currently no relevant ESG disclosure guidance for enterprises in mainland China. And in addition, most ESG policies in mainland China are currently targeted at enterprises, and ESG concepts have not been implemented for a wide range of asset owners and asset managers. So no other regulatory bodies have been established to supervise the implementation of ESG policies and enterprises. The second is about there are relatively few mandatory policies in China, comparing the speed and responsiveness of domestic and foreign enterprises information disclosure to the implemented policies. Shanghai and Shenzhen are no less responsive to the policies than the Europe and the US. And the fluctuation of the growth rate of the disclosure score appears 1 to 2 years after the implementation of the policies. So, however, Shanghai and Shenzhen only respond significantly to the mandatory policies. And the response to the non-mandatory policies is weak. So it can be inferred that the lack of mandatory policies is also the reason why the current level of domestic information disclosure is relatively backward. Sorry, I cannot see this. Yeah, so the third reason is the domestic capital markets have not yet formed a prominent role in promoting corporate information disclosure. For the US market, the difference in financing cost between Q5 of companies with the worst disclosure in raw materials, energy, and industrial sectors, and Q1 of companies with the best disclosure in 2017 to 2019 is widening, indicating that financing costs of companies with better disclosure are relatively decreasing. In contrast, the difference between Q5 and Q1 in China, in Shanghai and Shenzhen I'm sorry, I think the time is, maybe I should finish my presentation, right?
Yeah, if you're at the end, we'll get the student
Yeah,
presentation started,
wrap up.
sure.
Yeah, so that's my presentation for ESG in China, for the opportunities and challenges. So maybe we can share our fans with our students and to, do you have any questions?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sinkai, for joining us today. We do have a Q&A at the end of the presentations. So you're welcome to stay for the entirety of the ProGlobe conference and address those questions, or we can get those to you afterwards if you're not able to do that. But we just wanted to thank you for sharing your valuable insights and stressing the importance of environmental health, social responsibility, and corporate governance strategies. So before I introduce our first student presenters, I would like to provide some further information for our attendees. First, I would like the attendees to feel welcome to ask questions, and you'll do that through our Q&A, or in some cases you might see F&A depending on what country that you're joining us from. So what you'll do is you will have 15 minutes for Q&A panel discussion at the end after all presentations are done from each of the countries. But what you can do is start to ask those questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen in the meantime, okay? Another thing just to mention is that the ProGlobe conference is being recorded, and I have it in speaker view. So if you would like to see in speaker view, you can just go to the top right of your screen and change the view to speaker side by side, or different ways to view it. Just letting you know ahead of time so that you have the more optimal view of the presentations today. So at last, I would like to now begin the ProGlobe virtual conference with student presentations by introducing our first presenters. Please welcome the students from the Bachelor of Tourism program from the Polytechnic Institute of Viseu in Viseu, Portugal.
Portugal está em situação de alerta pelo terceiro dia consecutivo. Os fogos continuam sem dar tréguas. Há estradas cortadas, casas ardidas, muitos desalojados e mais de 100 vítimas.
Wildfires burn across Portugal. The sky there, looking like it could be Mars. Look at this. Firefighters are battling dozens of fires across the country, and it's the smoke, everything else, it's making the sky.
数千名消防员赶赴各地灭火。邻国西班牙和摩洛哥同样派人支援，不过专家超看衰，认为即使给救灾投入大量资源。
Über 100 Orten im Norden des Landes sind die Feuer außer Kontrolle geraten. Schon jetzt sind über 1000 Quadratkilometer Wald zerstört. Das entspricht der doppelten Fläche des Bodensees.
At least 7 people have died due to the blazes in 2 districts, while dozens of houses have been destroyed and tens of thousands of hectares of forest and scrubland consumed.
Good afternoon, boa tarde, guten Tag, everyone. Canada and United States, and good evening, Wan Shan Hao, to those tuning in from China. A warm welcome to all of you, no matter where you are in the world. My name is Ana Sofia, and I'm a student at the IPV in Portugal. I'm excited to present to you today our topic, together with my classmates Rodrigo, Bruna, Danielle, and Inês. The impact of natural catastrophes on tourism, strategies for recovery. As tourism students, we know that the industry plays a critical role in connecting people, cultures, and economies. However, natural catastrophes can disrupt this connection, impacting not only the destinations, but also the people who depend on tourism for their livelihood. Our journey begins in Viseu, where wildfires have left scars on its cherished landscapes. From there, we follow a trail of destruction across continents. Along the way, we'll uncover the profound impacts these natural catastrophes have had on tourism, the lives of local communities, and their economies. Finally, we rise from the ashes, exploring how tourism can recover and rebuild in the wake of such chaos. And before we conclude, we'll leave you with actionable tips on how we, as travelers, can help and contribute to building resilience and sustainable tourism worldwide. Let's take a closer look at the wildfires that impacted Viseu and surrounding regions this past September. First, 2024 was one of Portugal's worst wildfire season in the past decade. As we can see from the graph, there was a significant spike in wildfire activity in mid-September, with 451 ignitions recorded on September 17th alone. These high numbers show just how intense and widespread the fires were. In total, 135,752 hectares of land burned across Portugal, with most of the damage occurring in the northern and central regions, including Viseu. This destruction had a profound impact on local communities, ecosystems, and infrastructure. Finally, the environmental cost was also alarming. September 2024 saw the highest carbon emission in 22 years due to these wildfires, highlighting the long-term implications for our climate. Let's keep these figures in mind as Rodrigo discusses the impact on tourism and ways to move forward.
Thank you, Anastasia. Let's shift our focus to Canada. The summer of 2024 brought a series of catastrophic natural disasters, making it the most destructive season in the country's history. The Toronto and Southern Ontario floods caused $940 million in damages, overwhelming infrastructure, and forcing thousands to evacuate. The Quebec floods left $2.5 billion in damages, flooding towns, damaging heritage sites, and displacing communities. Smoke from the wildfires even traveled over 4,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean, reaching Europe and creating hazy skies. Canada was not the only country to suffer from natural catastrophes. China was also hit hard in 2024. Different regions of the country were affected by several significant disasters. First, in July, China was hit by Typhoon Gemi. While the typhoon itself weakened before making landfall, its tail end brought torrential rain, flooding, and mudslides, particularly impacting the Yunnan province. Thousands of residents were evacuated, and there was significant damage to infrastructure and crops. Later in the year, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck Xinjiang in the northwestern part of the country. Next, let's take a look at the catastrophic flooding that occurred in southern Germany in June 2024, which significantly affected the states of Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg. This flooding was particularly severe, with dam bursts, dramatic rescues, and widespread evacuations reported across the region. Across the Atlantic Ocean, natural catastrophes also left the United States with a lasting impact on communities and tourism. One of the most devastating events was Hurricane Milton, which hit the Gulf Coast with record-breaking winds and heavy rain. It caused widespread flooding, destroyed homes and businesses, and left many areas without power for weeks. The destruction also forced the closure of major tourism destinations. Closer to home for our MTSU students, powerful tornadoes struck Tennessee, leaving a trail of destruction in its path. Now that we have explored specific examples of natural disasters across Canada, China, Germany, and USA, my classmate Bruno will focus on the broader impacts on tourism.
Wow, Rodrigo, so much natural destruction in our ProGlobe colleagues' countries this past year. But now let's look at how disasters reshape how people perceive and interact with affected destinations, influencing tourism patterns globally. Natural disasters significantly affect tourism in multiple ways. For example, disasters often lead to cancellations and deter future visitors. With fewer visitors, businesses like hotels, restaurants, and attractions see significant drops in revenue. Regions that depend on tourism suffer the most, with job losses and reduced incomes for local residents. There is often a focus on destruction, shaping public opinion and making destinations seem less appealing even after recovery efforts. The type of disasters matters. Floods may cause short-term disruptions, while wildfires can lead to long-term environmental and infrastructural damage. Let's focus on the pivot walkways, a remarkable example of how natural catastrophes can affect a major tourism attraction in Portugal. The pivot walkways are an 8-kilometer wooden trail along the Paiva River in Aroca, Portugal. They are part of the UNESCO Aroca Geopark and have gained international recognition for their sustainability efforts, winning multiple World Travel Awards, including Europe's leading tourism development project. These walkways, along with the iconic 516 Aroca Bridge, draw thousands of visitors each year, significantly boosting the local economy. Tourism here supports cafes, restaurants, hotels, and local businesses, while also creating job opportunities in hospitality and transportation. However, the wildfires that swept through the region between September 17 and 19, 2024, caused approximately 350,000 euros in damages to the Paiva walkways. Significant sections of the trail, including 450-step staircase, were destroyed. As of now, only half of the scenic walkway is accessible to the public, with other sections remaining closed for several months while repairs are underway. The story of the Paiva walkways shows us how natural catastrophes can deeply impact tourism infrastructure, local economies, and communities. But how do people perceive these disasters, and how do they influence traveler decisions? To explore this further, my classmate Daniel is going to share the insights gathered from two key questions about natural catastrophes and their impact on tourism, which we posed to our ProGlobe colleagues during our interviews.
Thank you, Bruno. The first question all the Portuguese tourism students asked was about our international colleagues' experiences or awareness of natural catastrophes. Most students we interviewed had never directly experienced a natural disaster themselves, but there were some exceptions. For example, HBRS students from Germany mentioned the big floods in 2021 that affected cities near the Rhine River. In Canada, someone talked about the forest fire that burned 12 million acres last year. And in China, there were minor landslides during the rainy season in Sichuan. The second question focused on whether they would visit a region affected by a natural catastrophe. Most students said they would consider visiting a region, and their main motivation will be to help. They wanted to volunteer to support recovery efforts or see the damage firsthand. However, many said they'd prefer to visit only a few years later when the area is safer. Some students said it will depend on the situation. For example, they might go if it was to check on family or for humanitarian reasons. A small number of students, though, said they wouldn't visit the affected region at all. So, what does this tell us? The responses to our interviews show that people are empathetic and want to help, but they often balance that with concerns about safety and timing. This raises an important question. Can tourism itself play a role in helping regions recover after a natural catastrophe? Tourism can be a powerful tool for recovery after a disaster, offering both immediate and long-term benefits. Visitors can aid local businesses by spending money in affected areas and adapting travel plans. Travelers can contribute directly by participating in recovery programs. Tourism during the off-season or in newly reopened areas can drive recovery. Recovery efforts often lead to the creation of new attractions that provide jobs and educational opportunities for locals. And accurate information shared by travelers and tourism boards helps restore trust in the destination, encouraging others to visit. Tourism has the power to drive recovery, as we've just seen. But how does this look in practice? My classmate Inês is going to explore a remarkable example from Portugal, Chão do Rio, a rural tourism property that embodies resilience and sustainability in the face of natural catastrophes.
Thank you, Daniel. Chão do Rio faced several challenges due to wildfires in October 2017 surrounding Serra da Estrela Natural Park, with over a shining example of how to recover and rebuild sustainably. Recovery measures. Soil protection. Water barriers were built and white clover was planted to prevent erosion. Safety improvements. Firefighting systems were upgraded to ensure better protection. Forest regeneration. They initiated the Forest of Hope project. Sustainability and engagement. Chão do Rio retained its charm and its picturesque spaces and deep connection to nature. Guests were invited to participate in their recovery through the Forest of Hope sponsorship certificates. The story of Chão do Rio shows how one destination can turn challenges into opportunities. Now let's expand our view to look at global examples of resilience and recovery in tourism, where innovative approaches have helped regions bounce back stronger. In Canada, ecotourism programs educate visitors about recovery and fire-resistant infrastructures, with buffer zones helps protect vulnerable areas. In China, flood-resistant infrastructures like elevated walkways and waterproof facilities allows tourism to continue despite challenges. In Germany, eco-restoration along rivers not only improves flood resilience but also attracts eco-tourists interested in sustainable travel. In the USA, hurricane-proof coastal resorts feature wind-resistant buildings, elevated structure, and storm barriers. Educational programs further promote climate resilience and sustainability. We've seen inspiring examples of resilience and recovery worldwide, but as future tourism professionals and travelers, what can we do to support these efforts? Let's explore smart travel tips for visiting disaster-affected areas, ways to promote a positive impact while staying safe and respectful. Stay informed. Before traveling, check local news and trusted apps for updates on safety conditions and recovery progress. Support local recovery. Choose locally owned accommodations and businesses to directly contribute to the community's economic revival. Pack smart. Bring essentials like a first aid kit, backup supplies, and any items that can help you stay prepared for unexpected situations. Respect the environment. Avoid unsafe zones and follow leave no trace principles. Be flexible. Disasters can lead to delays or sudden changes in plans. Stay adaptable. Travel with purpose. Volunteer your time, donate to local causes, or simply share positive stories about the destination. We've explored how natural disasters impact tourism, how destinations recover, and the role we can play as travelers. Now let's bring it all together with one powerful thought. What if you were the key to preserving the places you cherish most? Imagine if the places you love the most, breathtaking landscapes, vibrant communities, or cherished memories, were gone tomorrow. Natural disasters are a reminder of how fragile our world can be. But as travelers, we have the power to make a difference. By traveling responsibly, supporting recovery efforts, and representing the environment, we can help rebuild these destinations for generations to come. Let's ensure the places we love remain for tomorrow's travelers. Travel with purpose, make an impact.
Thank you so much to the students of the Polytechnic Institute of Vizu for your impactful presentation. And as unfortunate as it is that we can all unify and relate to natural disasters, it's wonderful to see that we can work together to help strategies that can solve these issues. Okay, now I would like to welcome the Bachelor of International Business students from Shenzhen Technology University in Shenzhen, China.
Hi everyone, we are students from Shenzhen Technology University in China. Today we will talk about the transportation about global sustainable development. Is how can China maintain sustainable development by reducing carbon emissions in transportation? First of all, according to the data from CIC in 2022, Chinese carbon dioxide emissions were 11.4 billion tons, accounting for 30.68% of the world's total. And from the point of view of the producing country, Chinese large population base has resulted in higher carbon emissions from manufacturing, and a decline in Chinese population will not support the per capita carbon emission advance for long. At the same time, as the economy grows, some industry are forced to produce too much carbon dioxide in the manufacturing process due to the pursuit of high output. Chinese import and export have been increasing in recent years, and as China is in the midst of the rapid development phase, trade with imports and export will result in the transfer of highly polluting or carbon-intensive product, which will also have an impact on the world's sustainable development. From our perspective, Chinese carbon emissions are under tremendous international pressure. In Chinese carbon dioxide emissions, the transportation industry accounts for a large proportion, is 16.2%. In addition, in the modes of transportation, road transportation accounts for a large proportion, is about 79.15%. Therefore, we will choose road transport as the entry point, analyze Chinese policy on road transport, and put forward a suggestion based on the corresponding result so as to achieve Chinese carbon emission targets and contribute to the sustainable development of the world. There are several policies that already made by China, and the 3 policies is showed on the PPTs. Then, about the methodology, In this project, we will use literature research, case analysis, investigation, and observation method to study Chinese road transport emission reduction measures. What I would like to introduce to you about this method is observation and investigation. At this stage, China has already enacted some policies that we, the masses, have already experienced. And these are the ways to see with the naked eyes with the change in the country's carbon emission and China's effort towards sustainable development. For the various data and policies we have collected, we will compare the changes in carbon emissions before and after the policies are enacted to analyze the effectiveness of the policies and how they can be improved. And next part, my partner Ruo Tong will talk about the key findings in our project.
Okay, so we find that in order to achieve our carbon emissions goals, China has implemented a series of policies. And based on our study, these policies can simply divide into two parts, and for direct policies and indirect policies. And today we will share with you two representative policies for each type. And we're starting from the direct policies. The first direct policy we want to highlight is the carbon emission trading policy, which was launched in December 2017. This policy marks the beginning of China's nationwide carbon trading market. Initially, the carbon market was open to the power sector, and the main components of this policy is the allocation of carbon emissions quotas and the carbon trading mechanism. And so every year, the government allocates carbon quotas to companies based on the carbon emissions situation and the set carbon set reduction targets. So companies can then buy or sell quotas depending on their emission situation. For example, if a company exceeds its quota, it must purchase additional allowances, while those that reduce emissions effectively can sell their surplus quotas. So they can turn in carbon reduction into economic attractive for companies to reduce carbon emissions. So overall, this carbon trading mechanism increased companies' investment in energy saving and emission reduction technologies, and it helped to promote the popularization of green technologies, such as electric vehicles, clean energy ships, and low carbon logistics. And it will, in the future, the carbon trading market will gradually expand to include high carbon sectors such as steel and aviation, which can contribute to the carbon emission reduction of transportation. And so the second direct policy is China's Stage 6 vehicle emission standards, which were implemented in 2020, which is Stage A, and 2023, which is Stage B. These standards represent the strictest vehicle emissions regulations that China has ever set. And it's designed to reduce motor vehicle pollution and improve air quality. So on July 1st, 2020, the Stage A standards were implemented in some regions of China, and it covering both gasoline and diesel vehicles. The standards mainly focus on reducing the limits for nitrogen oxides X and particulate matter emissions to 1.5 gram per kilometer. And by 2023, the Stage 6B standards were enforced nationwide, and it further tightening emissions limits for carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxides X and particulate matter, especially for diesel vehicles. And the new regulations also introduce stricter penalties for non-compliant vehicles and enhance market oversight and enforcement. And as you can see, according to the data from the Ministry of Ecology and Environment, we can see a clear reduction of CO and NOx in carbon emissions after 2020, which shows that direct policies can achieve visible results in carbon reduction within a relatively short time. And these policies are proving to be effective in driving tangible emission reductions. So next, my partner Xiaoqing will analyze the indirect policies and their effects.
Okay, this part, I will introduce some two types of indirect policies in the new energy vehicle industry. From the interview, we know students from other countries are more likely to choose fuel vehicle as their daily transportation, as the cost is really high in public transportation in their daily life. However, we know fuel vehicle will produce more carbon emission. So in China, we think a new energy vehicle is an important way to reduce carbon emissions and costs in daily transportation. According to the data, nearly 78% of the new energy vehicle are pure electric vehicle. And we can see the chart that compared to other type of vehicle, the driving distance share of pure electric vehicle is close to 50%, but the carbon emission share is not much different. This means that pure electric vehicle can travel a longer distance under the same carbon emission. So their emission reduction effect is obvious. And the first indirect policy is about the subsidies and tax exemption policy. And there are 5 processes. Starting in the 2009, the subsidy policy was initiated and piloted in 13 selected cities, and the subsidy policies are meant at consumers. And then by 2013, the subsidy rely on urban agglomeration to promote the application to the whole country. And at the same time, for car companies, the longer driving range of the electric vehicle were requirements. And after that, from 2016 to 2020, high energy efficiency also as a requirement for car companies. It has promoted the development of the battery technologies and vehicles energy efficiency. And then affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the subsidy policy was extended until 2022 so that the subsidy standards would be reduced by 10%, 20%, and 30% respectively. But the standards from public transport sector will not be reduced in 2020. And to further optimize the policy, starting in 2024, a purchase tax exemption policy was published. Consumer could reduce the vehicle purchase tax during these 4 years. The implementation of this policy has a great work in China, and it can be seen in the chat that the ownership has increased rapidly from 2050 to 2022 and reaching the 13.1 million. And in the 2023, it accounted for as much as 62% of the global market share in China. And we can see that many people are more likely to choose new energy vehicle. And the next part, with the increase in the number of the new energy vehicle, the demand for charging has also grown. So it comes to the second indirect policy about infrastructure construction. The government has formulated a development guides for charging infrastructure. They are the centralized station and the distribute pair. From the 2050 to 2020, the centralized station was mainly built in public service field and urban fast charging network, and the distribute pills built in residential and social parking to meet the charging needs of 5 million. And then from 2021 to 2035, the focus is on residential communities and townships and the charging network of urban, public, and expressway to meet over 20 million charging needs. And this greatly improves the convenience and reduce the cost of charging in the daily transportation. So these are two types of indirect policies in new energy vehicle industry. And next, my partner Yue Li will introduce the discussion and conclusion.
Okay. Through our research and discussion, the following findings are put forward for the future measure to reduce carbon emission in China. First, China is ranking in the technical stability of new energy vehicles, ensuring the operation safety of new energy vehicles and the recycling system of used power batteries. And the major breakthrough in key core technology are the key development directions. Second, the government needs to fully understand the competitive environment of the transportation enterprise market and accurately grasp the revenue cost of the enterprise so as to formulate appropriate tax rate and subsidy values. And also, the government can include a company's environmental impact in its assessment system and link it directly to the company's earning. The government should adopt a multi-pronged approach and pay attention to the means of publicity while formulating policies. So popularize the concept of low carbon for the whole society and support low carbon transport modes through the use of policy interpretation methods to inform companies of the seriousness of emissions reduction. At the same time, we should actively participate in carbon emission cooperation and exchange in the fleet of international transportation and learn from international advanced experience and technology. And next is our conclusion. Issuing carbon emission trading policy, converting non-renewable energy equipment into new energy equipment, and controlling automobile pollutant emission are important ways to control carbon emission of road transportation industry in China and realize sustainable development. At the same time, the policy also needs to be adjusted according to the actual implementation situation and maintain flexibility according to local conditions. Raising the awareness of consumers to reduce emission is also an area that the government should focus on. That's all about our presentation. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please put them under our poster.
Thank you so much to the students from Shenzhen Technology University for your research and all of your insights. Very interesting. And now I would like to welcome the Canadian students from Fanshawe College in London, Ontario, Canada. So to those Canadian students, you're going to receive an invite to be a panelist, and you must accept that.
Okay, so welcome and good morning, afternoon or evening to everyone present at the ProGlobe Conference today. Did you know the Canadian healthcare systems are responsible for 4.6% of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions? The lighting, cooling, and heating of medical facilities, single-use medical items, transportation in the medical supply chain, along with many other standard practices within the operations of patient care are to blame. We at Team Canada and our presentation will explore the impact healthcare buildings and facilities have on the environment and the health and well-being of the people in them. In the interest of time, we will focus on dental clinics as our example. As interior designers, we are responsible for addressing not only the environmental impacts of healthcare buildings, but also the effects on the health and well-being of the people who work and receive care in them. The design of a dental clinic can be sustainable not only through its material choices, but also in its functionality. We found various sustainable solutions to common problems in dental clinic operations. We will pinpoint the specific issues and how designers can approach dental clinics to reduce waste, promote healthy eating, conserve energy and water, support sustainable transportation, and ensure that the clinic is inclusive of all persons coming through, whether employees or patients.
We rely on water for nearly every aspect of dental care, whether it is for cleaning instruments, irrigating during procedures, or drinking water. Dental clinic pipes and water lines are susceptible to bacterial contamination. If left unmaintained, bacteria can build up, which can then be sprayed into the mouths of patients. This is particularly detrimental for immunosuppressed patients, considering 22% of global water use goes into industrial practices, including clinics and other healthcare facilities. It is crucial to invest in proper water filtration systems. Next slide. Dental clinics use around 57,000 gallons or 215,768 liters of water every year on average. Dental clinics deplete local water supplies and generate wastewater. Reducing water use helps mitigate harmful environmental impacts in dental care and medical facilities.
Next slide, please. Some sustainable water practice we can take is reducing water usage, for example, using automatic faucets, disinfecting pipes and tools, and using sustainable products that use less water. Next slide, please. Some ways we can conserve water in dental offices can be by installing water-saving devices like low-flow faucets, toilets, and auto calcs. Dental offices could also use dental equipment which recirculates water instead of relying on a continuous supply.
Thank you, Talia. And now we're gonna be discussing the waste. The waste has a significant impact on our life. Starting by air pollution, it comes generated from burning plastics in general. Disposed waste lead also to water pollution. And now, regarding the dental offices, sorry, next slide, please. Now, regarding the dental offices, waste poses specific challenges. Chemical materials used for cleaning treatments can cause pollution. Single-use items like gloves and masks add to plastic waste. Machines also consume a lot of energy, leading to electronic waste. Finally, excessive paper use contributes to deforestation, impacting our planet further.
So now moving on to the solutions to waste management. Effective waste management is key to sustainability. Donating or repurposing items reduces landfill waste, while recycling paper and plastic and glass can become into new products. Waste centers ensure safe disposal and sorting, and composting creates nutrient-rich soil. Reducing packaging and supporting the circular economy promotes reuse and recycling, minimizing long-term waste. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So now on to dental clinics. Differentiating waste is essential, meaning waste must be sorted into categories to ensure proper disposal. Staff training helps ensure protocols are followed. Reducing single-use items can be achieved by setting up sanitation rooms for cleaning reusable tools, choosing durable, low-impact materials, conducting regular audits to track progress and identify improvements, and using energy-efficient systems to further support sustainability while lowering costs. Next slide, please.
So the next category is transportation. And transportation is the movement of people, goods, or animals from one place to another and includes vehicles on the road, water, air, and space. It accounts for 24% of global carbon dioxide or CO2 emissions from energy, and 41.1% of these emissions are from passenger transport, including cars, motorcycles, buses, and taxis, and 29.4% are from the freight transportation of products, goods, or merchandise. Transportation in relation to a dental clinic involves the materials, finishes, and textiles used in the building, where they came from, and how they got to the site. It also looks at how patients and employees get to the clinic, whether it is by personal vehicle or public transportation, such as a bus or taxi. 21% of adults have trouble accessing healthcare due to transportation issues. The World Health Organization indicates that access to healthcare facilities, such as the dental clinic, is greatly enhanced in areas that are well connected to public transit.
Minimizing emissions from transportation used by dental clinics reduces carbon footprints through patient and staff travel, as well as supply logistics, which is a key step toward improving sustainability and overall well-being. Implementing solutions like bike racks, locally sourced products, and telehealth options all promote sustainability. Bike racks encourage cycling, reducing congestion and emissions. Locally sourced materials cut shipping distances and energy use. Telehealth reduces travel, saving time and lowering the environmental impact of patient transportation. Next slide, please. Transportation is a crucial part of a dental clinic's operations, impacting not only the clinic's environmental footprint, but also patient access to care, staff commuting, and operational costs. By implementing sustainable transportation practices, dental clinics can reduce their negative environmental impact, increase accessibility for patients, and improve overall efficiency.
So our next category is energy. So energy and sustainability are crucial within a dental office. It can not only lower energy consumption and therefore reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it can also reduce overall energy costs. Dental clinics are known for using large amounts of energy for required equipment and lighting throughout the space, highlighting the importance of sustainable choices and energy considerations within dental offices. So here are some strategies that can reduce energy consumption within a dental clinic. So some LED strategies for energy are Energy Star LED lighting, which uses up 90% less energy than incandescent lighting and saves on operating costs, as well as Energy Star fluorescent lighting, which uses about 75% less energy compared to the standard light bulb and is very cost efficient. Next slide, please. So next is smart power strips, as they can save between 20 and 48% in energy consumption. And lastly is digital x-rays, as they conserve energy by using 80% less radiation.
Adding motion sensors can reduce energy consumption by 35 to 45% and can go as high as 75%. Utilizing daylighting controls alone can reduce total energy use by as much as 25 to 30%. Adding thermal curtains can reduce heat gain during the summer by as much as 33%. Next slide, please. Utilizing Energy Star computers uses 25 to 40% less than conventional models, and choosing any Energy Star certified televisions are on average 25% more energy efficient than conventional models. Next slide, please.
Our next topic is food. So food intake and food waste are large factors in dental clinic sustainability. Food impacts the health and well-being of staff, as those with bad eating habits are 66% more likely to be less productive at work. Ensuring staff have access to fresh, healthy food options is crucial for an efficient work environment. Next slide, please. The food groups vital for nutritional well-being are fruits, protein, dairy, grains, and most importantly, vegetables. Consuming a proper diet can also prevent dental patients from needing to go to the dentist in the first place. Next slide. During our discussions, we noticed that many dental clinics offer candy to patients after treatment. Sugar is a main factor in dental issues, so this is very counterproductive. It also isn't sustainable due to the byproduct waste. To change this, dental clinics should consider providing sustainable and healthier options after treatment, such as biodegradable toothpaste and toothbrushes with reusable wrappers. Next slide. Another problem for dental clinics is that many employees have to eat fast food, which is unhealthy and comes with a lot of byproduct waste. By providing adequate kitchen storage, we can encourage employees to bring prepackaged lunches, and this creates sustainable dental clinic environments and encourages healthy lifestyles and eating habits and reduces waste. Next slide.
In order to ensure a healthy dental clinic overall within food production and consumption, there's a couple of ways that we can counteract this within a dental clinic. That includes bringing healthy snacks and providing healthy snacks within the office, which will actually contribute to some well standard points as well. A compost bin within the office can also help with a healthier standard within the office and in terms of garbage disposal as well. And then providing a kitchenette helps maintain a more health-based diet in terms of bringing one's own food as opposed to any takeout or anything like that. Next slide. As well, along with this, in any kitchenette or along the dental clinic walls, we can put informative posters to provide more information and just more education overall in terms of healthy eating habits, any waste, and proper packaging to bring into the office. Next slide. Along with this, it's also a possibility to include a community garden if there's excess space along the outside of the dental clinic, and this will promote healthy eating and fresh local produce.
Inclusivity is the practice of creating environments where all individuals, regardless of their background or identity, are valued and have equal access to opportunities. It involves actively removing barriers, promoting diversity, and ensuring everyone feels respected and included. Next slide, please. Within dental clinics, bathrooms are not inclusive when they only provide gender-specific options, disregarding patients who are non-binary and only using graphic signage with text and no accessible features. This overlooks people with diverse needs, such as those with visual or cognitive disabilities. Next slide, please. Designing interiors with inclusivity in mind helps all individuals to feel supported in their interior environments. Adding elements to create a therapeutic environment and ensuring all spaces are accessible are just a few ways this can be achieved. Next slide, please.
So a solution we came up with for including gender-specific washrooms. So these public divided between women, which can be confusing for non-binary people when having to choose what washroom to use. So removing gender-divided washrooms and creating gender-neutral and accessible washrooms is important when designing in order to make everyone feel included and not singled out. So not having to choose specific gendered washroom eliminates any uncomfortable or unwanted feelings. Next slide, please. So another solution we found as designers for a dental clinic space is having graphic signage. Signage is an important aspect when people need to find their way around any building or space. So having signage that is filled with lots of text can be hard to read and understand quickly. So including signage with large graphics that are universally known by everyone makes it easier for people to follow and understand.
In conclusion, as interior designers, we can address the impact healthcare buildings and facilities have on the environment. The strategies we outlined today will benefit sustainability within dental clinics as they resolve problems like energy efficiency, reduction of waste, conservation of water, inclusivity through the design of the space, and encouraging healthy eating and less packaged food within clinic spaces, which are all common problems faced within dental clinics in and around Canada. Thank you for your time and attention throughout our presentation today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening.
Thank you to the Canadian students at Fanshawe College. I know that in our original schedule, we had planned to have a coffee break, but due to these really informative and interesting presentations, we've run over a little bit. So in the interest of time and keeping within the larger scope of our time today on the ProGlobe Conference, we're going to keep on going. And please feel free to step out whenever you want to, of course. But we are going to listen to the presentations from the U.S. students. So I'd like to welcome the students from the Bachelor of Interior Architecture program from Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for all the time that you are sharing with us today, representing the Interior Architecture program of Middle Tennessee State University here in the United States of America. I am Alan Tovey, one of the 4 presenters for the USA. Today, we will speak about ProGlobe. ProGlobe is promoting the global exchange of ideas on sustainable goals, practices, and cultural diversity. We were given opportunities to speak with students around the world and learn from their experiences, and they learn from ours as well. Next, we will look at inclusivity. Our main objective for our ProGlobe team project was inclusivity. Inclusive design is designing products and environments so that they are usable and appealing to everyone regardless of their age, ability, or circumstance. For our project, we were given a home known as the Wilkes Residence and tasked with designing it. We'll take a look at the exterior of our home. What we included were extra lighting paths as those with visual impairment issues, such as the elderly or similar disabilities, will increase their safety and security. Those with cognitive challenges and visual impairments may have issues with navigation. Thus, our solution was to include colored doors and numbers. Finally, with the exterior of our home, the personalized identification will bring forth safety and better navigation, which also helps assist those clients who may need so. Next, I will be handing it over to the next presenter, Natalie Abrego.
Hello, everybody. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. I'm now going to be transitioning us from the exterior of the property into the interior of the property, starting with the entryway. Having a smooth transition for one entering or exiting the home is important. Someone with accessibility, such as a wheelchair or a person of size, will feel more welcome and comfortable. Having a front door with side lights and an area to see who may be outside can give peace of mind to the residents, such as someone with PTSD, anxiety, or dementia. Automatic door locks contribute to the accessibility in the home without worry, such as one with arthritis holding a small key or one with hands full of items. We can also see that we want to be sure that the layout and the design of the entryway will keep anyone entering or exiting safe from trips and falls. Having light switches near the door to help turn on lights sooner rather than switches across the room can also contribute to that safety. Can we go to the next slide, please? Transitioning into the kitchen, we want to keep the kitchen as safe and comfortable for all occupants, especially targeting the needs of the residents of the home. There are various ways to customize accessibility in the kitchen as it has a lot going on, such as heat, sharp items, and liquids. We can see that there are handles which provide better access to stored items compared to knobs, especially for anyone with mobility challenges such as lupus. We also want to provide wider aisles to provide more comfort in the space in an area of the home that is prone to accidents. We also want to provide wider aisles for people who may need assistance in the kitchen, such as in-home aid, family members, or visitors. Touchless kitchen faucets can also be used as a visual tool for someone who is visually impaired. And we also see that dimmable lighting can be accessible for those who might have sensory challenges and can contribute to having a calmer environment, especially in the kitchen that might be a little more stressful for somebody. We also want to improve the choices in appliances and complexity, such as refrigerators, stoves, and dishwasher with simple and direct controls. This can help with cognitively challenged individuals, such as one with autism, and can get overstimulated easily. Next slide, please. Thank you. We also want someone to feel comfortable to complete household chores as needed. We want to have clear walkways on the floor. This improves one's accessibility to access the units without struggling. We can even stack the units or have front loaders depending on the needs of the resident to better fit them. We want to reduce slip hazards, keeping items organized for easy accessibility and provide protected spaces for chemicals away to store chemicals away from children or perhaps someone with dementia. I will be now passing on to Sarah to continue us in the lecture room.
Hello, I'm Sarah Hendricks. I'm going to continue with the laundry room. So first we have open shelves, which can be adjusted, and that's inclusive to people with height differences. Slip-resistant flooring continues through the space, as well as proper ventilation to remove moistures and odors. Next slide, please. Now we have the bedroom. Beginning the bedroom, easy grip hardware like a lever door handle eliminates challenges for those with joint pains. Seamless flooring eliminates hazards for those in wheelchairs or the elderly. Practical layouts can be organized to fit the client's needs. Now we'll continue with the bedroom. Adjustable lighting can create a safe and calm space for those with sensory issues. Like many other areas in the house, extra storage helps those who have ADHD or autism as they have set routines. Smart technology with verbal access is easy to use for the elderly and those with mobility issues. Continuing with the bedroom, I'll hand it off to our next presenter, Sophia.
Hey y'all, my name is Sophia Kerr, and I'm going to continue taking y'all through the bedroom. So based off our last point with smart technology, we are going to be using visual door knockers and telephone rings specific to people with cognitive disabilities. Bed shakers are for those who are hard of hearing, deaf, or to help those who are to help alert these individuals. You can see in this image to the right that there are tons of different ways that we put this into a commercial home, or you can put this into a residential home. There's multiple different ways. Then we're going to transition into our last space, the bathroom. So for the bathroom, we focus on a few different items, specifically grab bars in the shower and near the toilets to assist people who may need help getting up or down, and also can just be a good place to have a resting position if they have too much exertion. Higher toilet seats accommodating to older/disabled people for better movement along with non-slip tiles to create less of a risk. The bathroom was one of the hardest places for us to accommodate, but we wanted to make sure that everyone felt included and that we could find the best option for everyone. Detachable shower heads assist with those with mobility issues and those who have trouble raising their arms. This could be a diagnosis, or this could be due to surgery or any other implications. And then wrapping it up in the bathroom, on continuing with handles, there's a fouling for low effort. We decided for wider doorways and doors that open outward instead of into the bathroom in case there's an accident. The person can always get inside to help somebody who has fallen. We wanted to increase safety and security with those with the disability restraints without making it obvious. Floating sinks for easier access for certain height restrictions and easier access for those with mobility issues. This was just a great way that it can help prevent any stubbing of toes, or if someone has a mobile wheelchair, being able to move up and down with ease. LED lights for energy efficiency, and they also emit less heat, and they're also softer, so that it helps create more of a calming environment. They last longer and they are better quality, and this is best efficient for people who might have some a harder time getting things changed or different things like that. And closing us out, I'll hand it back to Alan.
We thank you all for listening to our presentation and all the time that you have shared with us here today. We hope that you can walk away with a new mindset on inclusivity and the importance of it in our environment.
Thank you, Middle Tennessee State University students. That human factor and inclusion is such a necessary part, and every presentation so far has somehow figured out a way to integrate that and understand that. So really, really thank you for that. Now I would like to welcome the students of the Bachelor of Management Sciences from Bonn-Rhein-Sieg University of Applied Sciences in St. Augustine, Germany.
Hello everyone. Today I'm excited to introduce you to our team from Hochschule Bonn-Rhein-Sieg in Germany. We are all first semester students studying international business. Some of us represent one of the project teams: water, energy, waste, transportation, inclusivity, and food, contributing to this presentation. And we're thrilled to share our insights and ideas with you today. But a city rich in history, as Germany's former capital and famously the birthplace of Beethoven, might seem like the star of the show, but today it's not. I want to spotlight the true star, the Rhine River. The river is more than just water flowing through Germany. It starts its journey high in the Swiss Alps, traveling over 1,200 kilometers until it reaches the North Sea at Rotterdam. Along the way, the Rhine has been vital to Germany and Europe as a whole, fueling industry, agriculture, and trade. It's one of the busiest waterways in Europe, handling about 86% of Germany's inland shipping, mainly transporting raw materials and petroleum products. Its waters nourish farmland, support unique wildlife, and carry vessels loaded with goods crucial for our economies. Historically, the Rhine has even marked the edges of kingdoms. Did you know it was once the boundary of the Roman Empire? Today, it flows through 6 countries, connecting countless cities and communities, passing through scenic landscapes and UNESCO World Heritage Sites, including the breathtaking Upper Mittelrhine Valley with its ancient castles or the Cologne Cathedral, as you can see on the slide. The Rhine is a river that unites, sustains, and shapes lives across Europe. So come with us as we explore 4 locations along the Rhine and dive into their impact on Germany's economy, society, and environment. Now that you know a little bit about us and our topic, let me hand it over to Annika Schlesinger, who will guide us through the fascinating history and economic importance of Duisburg Harbor, one of the Rhine's key industrial hubs. Moving on, Yannick Pelikan will introduce us to Kaup, a small yet vital part of the Rhine that reveals the challenges of fluctuating water levels and their impact on shipping and trade. Next, Cengiz Nitray will take us to the scenic Mittelrhine wine region to explore how the Rhine shapes its vineyards, climate, and world-renowned Riesling wines. Finally, Magda Pohl will discuss the industrial centers along the Rhine, such as Wesseling, and how their history of pollution has shaped efforts towards sustainable river management today.
Hello, I'm Annika Schlesinger, and I'm going to start with the topic transportation on the Rhine River. I will focus on the city of Duisburg and its harbor, the world's largest inland port and container hub. Founded in 1716, the Duisburg Harbor, also known as Duisport, is Europe's leading inland logistics hub and therefore a major artery for global trade. The more than 250 firms residing there do business through transport, handling, distribution, and storage of goods. Extending 40 kilometers along the Rhine River, Duisport handles an annual transport capacity of 4.2 million TEUs, meaning a 20-foot standard container. This makes up 110.4 million tons of goods transported per year. Each year, more than 20,000 loaded ships dock at Duisport, who also operates 25,000 train connections, linking Duisburg to cities and ports across Europe and even Asia. One of the 400 weekly train connections is a remarkable direct rail link between Duisburg Harbor and Chongqing, China, existing since 2011. This connection delivers goods in just 16 days. The importance of the Rhine and Duisburg, however, goes beyond today's trade flow. In the 19th century, during the discovery of vast gold deposits in the Ruhr region, the Rhine allowed for the transport of raw materials, especially coal, from mining regions to factories and steel mills that emerged down the riverbanks. This, however, had a huge impact on the pollution of the Rhine, which Magdalena will talk about later on. Today, the Rhine River remains not only a symbol of industrial history, but also of efficient and sustainable transport. Inland waterway shipping, like the barges that glide along the river, is one of the most climate-friendly ways to transport goods. A single modern barge with a length of 110 meters can replace up to 150 trucks. This helps reduce CO2 emissions and relieve pressure on our railways and highways. On September 16, 2024, Duisport inaugurated the Duisburg Gateway Terminal, Europe's first climate-neutral container terminal powered by hydrogen technology. This marks a significant step toward a sustainable, low-emission logistics system. However, challenges on the Rhine remain, such as fluctuating water levels, which Yannick will discuss next.
Hello, my name is Yannick Pelikan, and I will expand on the topic of transportation. As Annika already talked about, the Rhine is a vital shipping route. There are, however, sections of the river that frequently cause issues for shipping on the Rhine. I recently traveled to one of the most important of them, Kaup, and I filmed a video there. Enjoy.
Welcome to Kaup. Kaup is a small community at the part of the river called the Upper Middle Rhine Valley. This 65-kilometer section of the river is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The region holds this status because of its large cultural value, its vineyards, and its many castles and ruins. These many attractions, however, are not the reason I'm here today. The reason I'm here today is the tower behind me. This is the Kaup gauge. Just like any other gauge, this gauge measures the water levels to determine if ships can safely travel through this part of the river. There are, however, two major problems with this region when it comes to shipping. The first is quite simple. This part of the river is very shallow. It is, in fact, the shallowest part of the navigable portion of the Rhine. The second is its location. Kaup is located upstream from the major trade hubs of Cologne and Duisburg, but downstream from major industrial areas and shipping routes in Germany, France, and Switzerland, where the Rhine is the German border between those two countries. Now imagine what would happen if water levels were to drop here. The river's depth directly influences how much cargo a ship can carry. 250 centimeters of depth are required to fully load a typical cargo ship. The maximum load drops to half at 135 centimeters, and the river becomes almost unnavigable at 40 centimeters of depth. Now, do you remember the graph I showed you earlier? Have a look at 2018. What you see here is a drop of 36% in shipping on the Rhine. In 2018, water levels on the Rhine were very low due to a lack of rainfall. So low, in fact, that the Kaup gauge recorded its lowest ever level of 24 centimeters since it started operating in 1856. This drop in water levels doesn't just affect shipping. It also has a significant impact on the local economy and industries, one of which the wine industry Cengiz will talk about next.
Hello, everyone. As my other team members from Germany have already mentioned, the Rhine plays a crucial part in the shipping of various products, but the importance of the river in wine agriculture also needs to be represented. So I'm excited to share with you today a little insight into one of Germany's 13 wine regions, the Mittelrhein, and how its wine producers are embracing sustainable practices in wine production. The Mittelrhein wine region is considered a winemaking fairy tale land with medieval castles, terraced valleys, and small ports along the river. The river running through the hills makes this region's climate perfect for cultivating vine grapes. It accounts for a large heating surface, a sufficient watering system, and the valley also protects from the cold. The 111 vineyards around here stretch along both sides of the Rhine on a 100-kilometer path between Bonn and Bingen. With about 468 hectares under Rhine, this region accounts as one of the smaller but mighty areas in Germany. The most popular types of grapes favored by the vintners in the Mittelrhine region are the classic white grape varieties. The Riesling is the most widespread of the area, taking up 70% of the territory. That means about 308 hectares. Next up are the Müller-Thurgau, Pinot Gris, and Pinot Blanc. The only significant red wine grape type grown here is the Pinot Noir, which accounts for 10% of the red grape vines. The unique geographical location and the mild climate make this region an ideal place for producing world-class wines, and recently the vintners in this region have begun their transition towards a more sustainable wine production. Many wineries began their shift towards organic farming by avoiding pesticides and fertilizers and focusing more on soil health and biodiversity. The vintners also started focusing on their water management by implementing practices like rainwater harvesting and efficient irrigation. To combat their carbon footprints, many vineyards are exploring renewable energy, investing in solar panels to power their operations, and sustainable packaging to reduce waste. Together, these actions will help the vintners to make their way of cultivating and producing wine more eco-friendly and will also serve for a more resilient future. The Mittelrhine is a perfect example of how the wine industry can balance tradition and sustainability. By combining nature's given resources and human dedication, setting high standards for sustainable wine production worldwide. As we embark on our journey along the Rhine, we travel northwestern to Wesseling, where Magdalena will tell you about how a river that keeps part of Germany thriving can also have its own crisis.
Hello, my name is Magdalena Pohl. I'm on the project team Waste. And as Annika and Cenga already mentioned, I will now tell you about water pollution, especially caused by industrial waste on the Rhine's ecosystem. To visualize the waste issues, we went to a big factory directly located on the bank of the river in Wesseling, about half an hour away of our university.
Welcome to Wesseling. Behind me is a well-known industry complex. Especially in this region, it is one of many industrial centers located directly on the banks of the Rhine River. Over the years, the Rhine has witnessed many pollution crises, driven by the rapid industrialization in the 20th century. These developments turned the Rhine into one of Europe's dirtiest rivers. Take, for example, the mass fish die-offs when pollution levels were at its peak. Poisoned by heavy metals and chemical pollutants, dead fish were floating along the river, indicating the destruction of its ecosystem. This caused both ecological harm and health risks for local communities. The origin of the Rhine's pollution crises can be traced to three major factors. Industrial discharges from factories released heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, and lead. These, along with chemical waste and byproducts, contaminated the water and sediments, while discharged heated water altered the river's temperature. In response to these environmental crises, recovery efforts have made significant progress. The Rhine Action Programme, launched in 1987, has successfully reduced industrial pollutants and improved water qualities across the river. This allowed species like salmon to return to previously uninhabitable areas. In addition, the EU Water Framework Directive has enforced stricter water treatment standards, expanding these improvements and ensuring long-term sustainability for the river's ecosystem. Yet challenges like the emergence of new pollutants remain. Therefore, monitoring industrial discharges and ensuring compliance are vital to prevent backsliding.
The Rhine River is indeed more than just a waterway. It's a lifeline for industry, culture, and the environment in Germany and beyond. From Duisburg Harbor to the picturesque vineyards of Mittelrhein, the Rhine supports countless economic and cultural activities. Duisburg illustrates how modern logistics can combine industrial growth with sustainability. Yet, as the history of pollution reminds us, achieving this balance demands constant effort and innovation. In the Mittelrhein region, the river carves the landscape for vineyards that produce the world-famous Riesling and create a climate that nurtures agriculture and biodiversity. At the same time, Kalb reveals the river's vulnerabilities, where changing water levels disrupt shipping and the economies that depend on it. Further downstream, industrial hubs like Wesseling illustrate the impact of activity on the Rhine, with past pollution crises emphasizing the need for international cooperation among Germany, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Austria, and the need for vigorous environmental safeguards. The Rhine story is one of resilience and adaptation, from fueling industrial revolutions to fostering regional identities through wine and culture. Its legacy continues to evolve. However, its future relies on sustainable practices, creative solutions, and shared commitment from the nation it unites. Rhine is not just a river, it stands as a symbol of cooperation and a reminder for nature's essential role in our collective well-being. Thank you for joining us on this journey along the Rhine. We hope you enjoyed the presentation and gained a deeper insight into this vital lifeline. Wishing you all the best and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, students from Bonn-Rhein-Sieg University, for your wonderful job in presenting your local body of water and all of the different characteristics and information that we should all know. We really appreciate it. At this time, we have caught up to our schedule, and it is a Q&A session. So we're going to bring all of the presenters and coordinators into the conference window here. And if there are any questions in the Q&A chat, we can respond to those and answer those. So those who are currently presenters, you're going to receive an invite to come back as a panelist, and you'll need to accept that. So we don't have any questions right now in the Q&A. So, but we do have 270 with us today at the ProGlobe Conference. Thank you and welcome. Please feel welcome to ask any questions in the Q&A, and so it's F&A, right, for you in Germany, Regina? So the question and answer. We're just working on getting everyone in the gallery. You can see that we're going to have a lot of individuals here. And we'll just ask everyone to turn their cameras on. There's a little bit of a transitionary time, so thank you everyone for your patience as we move everyone in. All right. Okay, so the first question goes to the Portugal team, speaking specifically about natural disaster. And maybe you want to just respond based on your reflection after doing that. Were you shocked to see the natural disasters that were occurring around the globe when you had to report not just on your country, but on all the countries involved in the ProGlobe Conference? Any of the Portuguese
Yeah,
team
I think I
respond?
can answer. I think in Portugal, at least, we have each year some type of catastrophe, and wildfires are very common, unfortunately. But then we do the research, and we really understand how much in the whole world it's, and we have catastrophes. And I think, yeah, we have a little bit of a shock because if you don't see the news or something, you kind of forgot about it or don't give the importance that they need to have. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of a shock.
Anybody else from the Portuguese team want to respond at all? Okay, the next question is for the USA team, speaking specifically about inclusivity, and the association of inclusivity and sustainability. When you were thinking about some of the strategies that you were sharing with us, does anybody want to talk about that relationship?
I can speak on that. Give me 1 second, sorry. So creating the environment to be inclusive and sustainable, we also had to keep in mind what's going to last long periods of time. What sort of different areas in the world, what have they tried out and what have they seen work and scientifically and statistically when it comes to certain disabilities and circumstances. Our class, we looked into that a lot and we were able to figure out multiple different ways to be inclusive where it's not just accommodating to the one, it is to all. For example, with like the grab bars in the showers and the bathrooms, that can help out anybody who may just be having some issues. But on top of that, going back to the sustainability, we wanted something that is going to last long periods of time. It's going to be efficient and it's known to work not only in one area of the world, but all over.
Thank you. Were there any other comments from USA?
I can touch base on that as well as factoring in the items that we choose, such as perhaps something that might be sustainable or inclusive for someone. We also want to make sure that the lifespan of it doesn't just get thrown in the trash. We want to be able to do the research and look at the sustainability of the product, and as well as how we move that into the next product, into the design. That's also an important part of the design aspect. It's not just what it looks like or how can it be helpful for somebody. We also want to make sure that it does continue to have an impact, a long lasting after that. So.
Thank you. I just have some questions here. So to the coordinators, if you have any questions that you want to interject with at this time, please feel free to do so as well. Before I do that, I'm just going to ask for the German students this time. Speaking about the Rhine River, as it's such a massive landmark in your area, but also speaking to what was discussed in the Portuguese presentation as well about the flood. So wait a second. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if you can talk to us about any insights that, maybe you experienced personally with that.
I can talk to that. So the river the major flood that happened a couple of years back is a tributary to the Rhine, and it was quite dramatic. While we weren't directly affected, at least in our region, at least I and a lot of my friends went to the region to help in disaster relief efforts. There was a lot of damage done that probably could have been prevented, if I'm being honest. But because there hadn't been any extreme weather events in Germany for a longer time, disaster relief programs had been scaled back in their funding and their readiness status. So it was quite surprising when it happened, I think, for a lot of people. And when it did happen, the country weren't as prepared as they could have been.
Thank you. Were there any other comments from the German students on that?
Yeah, I would maybe add that, for example, the other part of our university located in Rheinbach it was really affected by it, and it was flooded completely. And until today, it's not completely renovated. So yeah, it was quite big.
Yeah, my
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I also have something that my basement was also flooded, not heavily, but a little bit because I live close to the Rhine, and yeah, but it wasn't dramatic, but it was flooded a little bit.
Well, thank you for sharing your personal accounts. It really is something for everyone to hear. People speak, personally about something that we see in the news. So, and to hear that firsthand is really interesting. And we really hope that the efforts to make everything back to what it was prior to that will come to fruition soon. We do have a question for China. In China, is the carbon credit system voluntary or mandatory? And if mandatory, are small to medium-sized businesses more at a disadvantage or an advantage? I can read it again if you would like me to.
I think I can add a few for the students, but I will send the question to them because they have an early morning class tomorrow, and this is midnight in China, so they have to go to bed. Apologize for that. So back to the question. So for the credit, it's a voluntary system. It's basically related to, there are a few industries that are participating. And the purpose for the company to do that is basically to, first of all, establish the branding and also to encourage the or attract the attention of the investors as well as the stakeholders around them. So this will be a good way for them to earn the credit, not only through this credit system, but also through a broader stakeholder groups. In that sense, I would say this is still in testing. So we do not know in big amount what could be the actual outcomes in terms of how would that influence strategic directions, how would that influences design products or services provided, things like that. But I think the student probably will add more to the questions as well.
Thank you. And my apologies. You're right. This is always a learning curve when it comes to the time differences when we're doing an international project. And we're so happy to have China join us in the ProGlobe project this year, and getting used to that 12-hour time difference between Canada and China. It is really something. So thank you for that. Were there any questions from the coordinators? Okay, Canada, you are on the hook for the next question then. So, based on the research that you did to prepare in isolating a specific example of a dental clinic to start addressing different aspects of the built environment that we can change to become more sustainable and inclusive, what are some components of that might have been more shocking to find out or surprising to you as strategies or things to consider?
Yes. So something that was really shocking for me studying the water aspect of sustainability, something that I had never considered was that the pipes for dental clinics or even any other medical facilities can become contaminated with bacteria and organisms that can cause harm to people. It's something that now that I know seems obvious, but at the time I didn't consider that. So it's really interesting to think about how in a dental clinic, it's not just about being sustainable in your material selection and your textiles and finishes, but also how the building actually functions as a whole, not only above ground, but also underground. So that was shocking to me.
Thank you. Were there any other comments from the Canadian students? Well, actually, that concludes our time. We're right on time for our Q&A. Another point to note how quickly that went by. So we're going to move all of the students into out of panelist mode now. So just you'll see that one by one, it'll just be the coordinators that are here. And as that's happening, I would just like to introduce our team. In an effort to place the emphasis on the student presentations, we chose to introduce ourselves last. So although I've been speaking with you this entire time, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Wendy Hume, professor at Fanshawe College in the Bachelor of Interior Design program. And as you can see here, we have our ProGlobe coordinators who've been working together cumulatively over 10 years. So we have Professor Dr. Christy Julian from Middle Tennessee State University, Professor Dr. Lourdes Martins from Polytechnic Institute of Izu, also Professor Dr. Paula Fonseca from Polytechnic Institute of Izu, Dr. Hao Chen from Shenzhen Technology University, Regina Broutlap from Bonn Rhein-Sieg University of Applied Sciences, Anne Fries, also from Bonn Rhein-Sieg University of Applied Sciences. And I want to make a special thank you to also Brianne Palamides, who is a professor in the Bachelor of Interior Design program as well, has been also facilitating the ProGlobe project in her course as well, and been absolutely instrumental in organizing and facilitating this ProGlobe conference with me today. So thank you as well, Brianne. At this time, on behalf of myself and all the ProGlobe coordinators, we would like to thank you for attending the 10th Annual ProGlobe Conference. We'd like to thank the keynote speaker. We'd like to thank the welcome address. We'd like to thank the students for some wonderful insights, some really interesting information that when we see the presentations in sequence and see all of the work you did together, it's very eye-opening. We hope that all the attendees today gained valuable global insight as well. And also what we'd like to do is invite you to go to our virtual gallery walk and to see, in addition to what you saw in today's presentations, research that students did in different categories, and they've created poster presentations that you'll be able to access at your leisure and to review. And we ask that if you would like to contact us, please do so. You can make comments there if you like. So this QR code here, you can just probably access the virtual walk with your cell phone. And if that is not possible, I'm going to put in the chat the link. And I just don't, is everyone able to see? Yeah, I think so. Let me just put this here. So everybody should be able to access also the link as well in order to continue to review all the hard work that our students have done in the ProGlobe project this year. And with that, I think that I will conclude the ProGlobe conference unless there's any other comments from the coordinators.
I guess I could say something as well, Wendy, if you don't mind. A special thanks to Wendy for hosting every year, Fanshawe College hosting this webinar and her wonderful insights throughout this conference. And to the other coordinators as well. This has been 10 years of ProGlobe Conference. And I think each year students surprise us. Positively surprise us every year. So a special thank you and congratulations to all the students from the 5 higher education institutions, not only those who presented here today, but also those who did those beautiful posters that we invite everyone to see in a few moments. This is truly a collaborative project with people all over the globe at different times of the day who took their time to get together and share very important information that is concerning all of us, and this idea of sustainable goals, practices, cultural diversity. We all need to work together because we are all connected as a global community. So here's to continuing this important work and building a brighter and more sustainable future together. And I look forward to the next ProGlobe Conference next year and more interesting and insightful presentations and posters. So thank you. Obrigada.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, and with that, I think I will conclude this year's ProGlobe Conference. Thank you all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Thank you.